Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star original continent based on novel. So let's start. Luo Feng felt the ever-changing nature of time velocity. It was as though he were passing through the universe path leading back to the primal universe. The surroundings zoomed into clarity. Where am I? Luo Feng looked around and saw towering trees and plants. Those ancient trees were at least 60 miles high. He shot up into the air and hovered above the forest. High up in the sky, he surveyed the surroundings. At first glance, there was a vast plain a distance away from this forest. Within his field of vision, he could only see two vast domains, the forest and the plain. On these two domains, he saw numerous enormous, towering sculptures representing the legendary 8 natural beast gods. Every one of these natural beast gods had its own set of sculptures that were doing various things like sleeping, roaring with their heads raised, playing, and in many other poses. There were many different types of natural beast god sculptures, and each of these had an intimidating presence. It was as if the actual beast gods were present. Where am I? Luo Feng said again. The Space Beast Alliance's Ancestor told me that he would grant me access to the Space Beast God Alliance's restricted land. Is this it? Luo Feng looked around. Could this be their restricted land? Suddenly, Luo Feng's face contorted in surprise. No. Time velocity. He had just connected with his original Earthling body via his consciousness, and he quickly realized that there was a huge difference in time velocity between the different spaces the two consciousnesses were in. The magnitude of this difference was overwhelming, and it gave Luo Feng quite a shock. Merely 1 second in the primal universe had gone by, yet Luo Feng had spent a good 100,081 seconds here, meaning to say that the ratio of time velocity was an alarming 1 to 10, 081. How is that possible? How can the ratio of time velocity be so exaggerated? Luo Feng found it unbelievable. That means that spending 10,000 years here would only be spending 1 year in the primal universe. Even if I were able to purchase a time palace from my human race, the normal ones can accelerate time velocity by 10 times or several dozen times. Valuables like time palaces could only be made by universe masters who had complete space law comprehension. Yet the time palaces created were no different from a place for cultivation. The only difference was that time velocities were much faster in time palaces. 10 years of cultivation in a time palace would equate to something like a month on the outside world. According to what Luo Feng knew, a time palace was very costly. Normal ones that accelerated time velocities by 10 or a few dozen times were considered average, but those with acceleration of up to 100 times cost a fortune. For those with an acceleration of 10,000 times, humans would not possess such time palaces. An elderly voice resonated throughout the entire place, Luo Feng. Luo Feng turned his head abruptly. In the distance, he saw some black clouds approaching, and the clouds gave off an overbearing force that suppressed the entire world. When these clouds neared him, they transformed into a golden horned beast, and this beast transformed again, now taking the form of an elderly human wearing a white robe and 9 sharp horns on its head. Ancestor? Luo Feng asked hesitantly. This is my other body, Ancestor said, stepping out into midair. The place you are in now is a universe owned solely by my Space Beast Alliance. Another universe? Luo Feng was taken aback. He had learned during his chat with Tremble that the Space Beast Alliance owned a universe. Luo Feng found it likely, as the Space Beast Alliance was comparable to the Hong Alliance in terms of capabilities. Since the human race owned the primal universe, it would not be unheard of for the Space Beast Alliance to own one too. And here, right in the middle of this universe, is the Beast God sector, Ancestor continued, watching Luo Feng. This is a place specially for training the great beings among beast gods. Beast God sector. Luo Feng said. He gazed into the vast, boundless world, thinking about how intimidating the numerous beast sculptures looked. They exuded a powerful energy that felt much more oppressive than the Shiluo Duo sculpture had back then. This is the actual restricted ground of my Space Beast Alliance, said Ancestor. Even the geniuses of my Space Beast Alliance may not have the chance to enter. Your teacher-sitting mountain guest has been very willing when it comes to you. He even approached me personally to ask for my help, but I doubt you will be able to succeed within 100,000 centuries. 100,000 centuries in the Beast God sector is only 10,000 years on the primal universe. Ancestor smiled. 1 year in 1 century. I'm afraid you have yet to experience it. Yes, Luo Feng said. He was full of admiration for this form of time velocity. May I ask what request teacher-sitting mountain guest asked of you? Luo Feng pressed Ancestor for answers. What do I need to achieve to make it out of here? He gave a simple request. Ancestor looked at Luo Feng, then revealed, defeat me, then you can go out. Duh. Defeat, you. Luo Feng's eyes widened. How could he defeat the Ancestor of Space Beast Alliance? Defeat a Universe Supreme Master? You've got to be kidding. Ancestor smiled. I will maintain my power and strength at the same level as your godly body, he said. My godly body will be using the same strength as yours. So if you are able to defeat a similar godly body such as mine, you are able to make it out of here. How is that possible? Luo Feng shook his head vigorously. You are a Universe Supreme Master. Your techniques and methods are all out of this world. Even if a Universe Master were to be here, he would not be able to do this. Let's not even mention Universe Masters at all. Another Universe Supreme Master might not even be able to do this. Right? A Universe Master would not be able to do this, Ancestor told Luo Feng. But another Universe Supreme Master would be able to. Because this is only another body of mine. The best he could do would be to suppress a Universe Master. But to suppress a Universe Supreme Master, this body is not enough. Does that mean I have to become a Universe Supreme Master to get out of here? Luo Feng shook his head. Impossible. How outrageous could this possibly be? No matter how confident Luo Feng was, he would not dare to say that he could become a Universe Supreme Master within 100,000 centuries. He had not expected teacher-sitting mountain guest to be foolish to such an extent. Regardless of how conducive this restricted land of Space Beast Alliance might be, it did not have the conditions to groom him into a Universe Supreme Master. Moreover, there was certainly no way a Universe Supreme Master could be cultivated. Cultivation of the Beast God path, time-space path, and many other such paths could only lead up to the Universe Master level. This was the limit. There was simply no proper way to become a Universe Supreme Master. If one wanted to become a Universe Supreme Master, the only way was to depend on oneself. This was what Sitting Mountain Guest had told Luo Feng in the past. Do not worry, said Ancestor. Your teacher has given you a glimmer of hope. He smiled again. Luo Feng let out a silent sigh of relief. Maybe the request would not be quite so outrageous. When you are at the undying level, said Ancestor, I can only utilize the pinnacle technique at a Universe Master standard. When you have attained the Universe Knight level, I can use the ultimate technique at a Universe Master standard. When you have become a Universe Master, that is when I can use my most powerful technique. Whether you are undying, a Universe Knight, or a Universe Master, this body of mine will maintain the same level of godly body as yours, Ancestor reassured him. I will also act according to the level of your law comprehension. The more it increases, the more techniques I will get to use. Luo Feng stood stock still. The pinnacle technique at a Universe Master standard. Of course, Ancestor said as if reading his thoughts. Pinnacle technique. The pinnacle technique I will use is definitely the closest to the ultimate. Luo Feng sank into despair. Ridiculous. Simply ridiculous. He was merely an undying being, yet he had to battle the Space Beast Ancestor. Although Ancestor would only be using a pinnacle technique close to the ultimate technique at a Universe Master standard, it was nonetheless akin to an ultimate technique. Defeat. How could I, a mere undying being, create an ultimate technique of a Universe Master? Luo Feng shook his head. This must be a joke. Undying, to create an ultimate technique of a universe master. It was unheard of. Impossible. If I were to achieve a breakthrough and become a universe knight, then Ancestor would be using the most powerful ultimate technique of a universe master, thought Luo Feng. Judging by Ancestor's techniques, I'm afraid the most powerful ultimate technique of the universe master level that he will use would be much stronger than that of Primal Chaos City Leader. Luo Feng could not help sinking deeper into despair. When I have become a universe master, Ancestor will not hold back anymore. He will give it his all. Hopeless. Upon comparison, being at the undying level would have been more hopeful. As just an undying, he had to create an ultimate technique of a universe master. This must have just been a dream. Ancestor was still smiling as he continued, that is why I think you won't be able to succeed, even if you have eons of time. That is why, when your teacher sitting mountain guest made a gamble with the stipulation of 100,000 centuries, I was full of confidence that I would not lose the bet. Ha ha ha. If you want to achieve this, you have two paths to choose from. 1. At an undying level, you can create an ultimate technique of a universe master. 2. You can stay in my beast god sector long enough to become a universe supreme master. There are only two paths, continued Ancestor, so to become a universe knight, or a universe master, or anything else, don't think anymore. The moment you lose focus on trying to increase your lore comprehension, the amount of time you will require and use up will continue to accumulate. From undying to pinnacle universe knight, this lore comprehension alone will take a long time, making it even less possible for you to succeed within 100,000 centuries. You only have two paths. Either of them is somewhat possible. To become a universe supreme master, there is a trace of possibility. To be an undying being that creates an ultimate technique of a universe master, there is also a trace of possibility. Ancestor never lost his smile while talking to Luo Feng. He added, of course, it will only be a trace of possibility. I, for one, think that you will not be able to achieve any of these at all. I think you will be trapped in the beast god sector forever. Luo Feng felt helpless. It was little wonder that Ancestor, who stood high at the pinnacle of the universe, would dare to take up such a gamble. It was no wonder he was so confident. A trace of possibility. Perhaps. But only on a purely theoretical scale. In reality, the chances might not be more than 1 out of countless eons. Beast God Sector is open to you, said Ancestor. You can use it for your cultivation. Ancestor gestured to indicate the surroundings. In the distance, Luo Feng could see that the numerous sculptures and part of the plains were glowing brightly. A domain even further away was glowing so brightly that the rays seemed to shoot up into the sky. Sculptures, ground, faraway mountains and cliffs, said Ancestor. Some of these have lore engravings, and some have secret techniques. There are all kinds of techniques like the godly body amplification technique, soul amplification technique, battle technique, close combat technique, soul attack technique, spiritual force weapon technique. You can have everything you want under the sun. Power levels range from strong to strongest. We even have as many as dozens of sets of ultimate techniques of universe masters. Learn to your heart's desire. Everywhere in this beast god sector is open to you, Ancestor reiterated with a smile. You can research every secret technique, develop your talent, and then create a miracle. Ha ha. If you want a challenge, I am ready to oblige anytime. Of course, if you do become a universe supreme master, there is no need for a challenge anymore. You have already succeeded. Enjoy looking around. Enjoy learning. I will be waiting for your challenge. Ha ha ha. 100,000 centuries. Interesting, interesting. Ancestor laughed again, then vanished into thin air. Luo Feng landed after Ancestor left. He landed beside a lake and sat down with his legs crossed. He calmed himself down. After which, he opened his eyes and started to think about the challenge. Masters were Shan, who paid a huge price to get this chance for me. However, how can I beat Ancestor in any body? By becoming a universe supreme master. That's too far from me. Creating Universe Master Level Ultimate Techniques. Luo Feng shook his head. I have low law comprehension, and it's barely at Universe Knight level. I need law comprehension if I want to create techniques. How am I supposed to create them if I don't even have that? Even if I use my beast god conception, it's still only slightly better than my law comprehension. Luo Feng shook his head. Law comprehension and beast god conception were the two bases of techniques. He needed to complete the law comprehension. As for beast god conception, he had to at least memorize it. Unfortunately, I have both low law comprehension and beast god conception. How is it possible for me to create Universe Master level ultimate techniques? Luo Feng looked around. Masters were Shan Ku arranged for me to be here. Does that mean that the beast god sector can help me achieve that? Luo Feng got up and flew to the gold beast god sculpture beside him. Gold beast god was the manifestation of space law and gold law, and Luo Feng was following his path. Luo Feng landed in front of a towering gold beast god sculpture. It was a giant lizard with a horn on its head. He had 4 claws, and the one at top left was tearing the ground. His tail was lashing. There were complex engravings on his scales, and the engravings were different from those on Luo Feng's beast god. The engravings made the sculpture tranquil and peaceful, as if the gold beast god were taking a walk with his claw clenching on the ground. Luo Feng looked at the sculpture, perplexed. I feel like it must be the law, but why are the engravings different? Even after studying it for a while, Luo Feng couldn't understand it. Luo Feng flew up in the sky and flew to another gold beast god sculpture. After all, gold beast god was the one he was most familiar with. Another gold beast god sculpture also felt like the embodiment of law, but that gold beast god looked fierce, as if it were about to attack. And the engravings on the scale were also different. One gold beast god sculpture after another, each one was different, angry, tranquil, joyful, crazy, indifferent, and roaring. The engravings on the scales were different based on their varying emotional statuses. Some of the beast god sculptures were using their claws to attack, while others were using their tails or horns. Each part of their bodies seemed to be able to attack. After he finished checking the many gold beast god sculptures, Luo Feng started to check the thunder beast gods and light beat gods. These sculptures were much more forceful than the ones left by Shiluo Duo. Luo Feng even felt that those sculptures were in his small sculptures class. 8 inborn beast gods. Each of them has so many sculptures, and they seem to represent everything about the merge law. Luo Feng was amazed. After finishing all the sculptures, Luo Feng started to tour the beast god sector. On the plains, in the ancient trees, on the cliffs, on the peaks of mountains, at the bottom of lakes. There were engraving sculptures everywhere, and he could feel the power coming from the sculptures when he got close to them. Some of them were just basic engravings, while some included detailed descriptions of the engravings. They had been left by many generations of space beasts, strong and weak alike. There were even dozens of sets of Universe Master level ultimate techniques. As for Universe Master level pinnacle techniques and Universe Knight level techniques, these were present in innumerable quantities. Some were about close combat using weapons. Some were about spiritual force weapons. Some were about illusion. Some were about amplification. They dazzled Luo Feng. My soul amplification technique is only 32 times, said Luo Feng. Although the golden horned beast has an amplification type technique, deities of the world. It is only an elementary technique, with the limit of 36 times. Most of the limits in the amplification techniques here are over 80, and some are even over 100. Luo Feng was satisfied with those techniques. The more techniques he remembered, the less he needed to work. He could certainly hit the perfect limit in the beast god sector. Of course, techniques didn't guarantee success. Countless beings received the inheritance of deified generals, but only a few of them could finish it. Inside the beast god sector. The beast god sector was vast. Luo Feng looked in the distance and exclaimed, the techniques are ingenious. The ultimate techniques of universe masters are indeed unfathomable, and these are the techniques of primal chaos city leader. Unfortunately, I'm somewhat perplexed. Even with the explanations, Luo Feng's law comprehension was so low that he was still baffled. He didn't understand anything. I can't even understand the ultimate techniques of universe masters with detailed descriptions, he said. How am I supposed to make them? Masters were Shan Ku, you're too confident of me. Luo Feng felt helpless. It was, however, a land full of valuables. As he read the conception of inborn beast gods under different sculptures, many of the questions Luo Feng had had for years were solved. He felt that different engravings had varying levels of power. All of them were the embodiment of laws. And all of them contained secrets. I think every sculpture is a set of supreme techniques, Luo Feng murmured. Besides, there should be connections among the sculptures. I'm just not strong enough to see through them. Luo Feng didn't realize this until he had finished reading the adequate techniques. He soon discovered that most of the creators of the techniques had descriptions at the back that were inspired by the beast god sculptures. These sculptures were exceptional. How can I be inspired? Many of those who created these techniques are universe masters. Luo Feng shook his head. Masters were Shan Ku. He whispered. You may lose your pinnacle true treasure. But suddenly, he had a revelation. Wait. Luo Feng quickly stood up. Although Ancestor is incredible, Masters were Shan Ku isn't stupid, he murmured. He knows me much better than Ancestor does. If he was confident enough to make that bet, it means I must be likely to succeed. But how? There must have been a way, but he couldn't think of anything. After 3 days, Luo Feng still hadn't come up with anything. For what it's worth, I've got 100,000 eras, which equates to 1 billion years. I don't need to rush. I'll just practice the 9-volume manual. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed. Yes. I can practice the 9-volume manual, and let the golden horned beast reach perfect life gene level. Last time, I got the inherited technique I am the universe. Perhaps I can get another one this time. Even if I can't, golden horned beast will be able to perform I am the universe. The move consumes such a large godly body. Perhaps other ultimate techniques are not as demanding. Besides, it was bestowed through my mind, and that power is much more powerful than universe masters. I am the universe is supposed to be an ultimate technique of universe masters. Luo Feng rejoiced. Yes, of course. The inherited technique, I am the universe. Ancestor only asked me to defeat his body, but he didn't forbid me from using inherited techniques. Luo Feng smiled. Like that bark mirror emperor, who is only undying. His inherited technique is at the universe overlord level. I've reached a perfect life gene level, and I am the universe is much more impressive. Ha ha ha. 100,000 eras, said Luo Feng. I don't need 100,000 eras. 100 years is all I need. Luo Feng looked forward to the result. He could sense that his inherited technique, I am the universe, was powerful enough to meet the criteria. My golden horned beast will perform I am the universe, and then he can definitely beat the ancestor body, who only performs universe master level pinnacle techniques. Luo Feng gained some confidence. He had read the details of many techniques in the beast god sector. Though they were too intricate for him to understand, he felt that I am the universe wasn't weaker than any of them. Luo Feng started to devote his time to this new pursuit. The tail, claws, wings, back, and head merged with at least 10 blood river crystals, and the amplification could reach 10 times. As for other parts, they had merged with 100 blood river crystals, and the amplification could reach 100 times. After practicing, the life gene level of the golden horned beast kept being improved. 7,000. 7,500. 8,000. 8,500. 9,000. 9,500. After finishing the 6th volume, the life gene level of the golden horned beast reached 9,000 times. Almost, said Luo Feng. 7th volume. The golden horned beast continued with the 7th volume and gradually improved his life gene. Eventually, after 62 years of being in the beast god sector, the golden horned beast had reached the perfect life gene level. Limpid water on the lake was flowing, and fog permeated above it. Luo Feng sat beside the lake with his legs crossed, with a 6-foot-tall golden horned beast. Perfect limit. Remote ocean reached the level before, but when he became a boundless remote ocean. The new remote ocean body only has a life gene level of 1,000 times. Finally, the golden horned beast body has reached that level. Luo Feng smiled and waited for the sharp change. Once the life gene hit the perfect level, the body would experience a sharp change. Last time, the universe origin law arrived and led Luo Feng to a mysterious space, after which remote ocean body became 55,000 miles tall. What? Luo Feng frowned. 1 second, 2 seconds. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. No change. Why is there no change at all? Luo Feng was dazed. His golden horned beast had reached the perfect gene level, yet nothing had happened. There wasn't any change to his godly body, neither was his mind led to the mysterious place. Luo Feng stood up. Could it be because? His eyes went wide, and his face fell. Because, he realized. It is another universe here. Instead of the original universe. Luo Feng knew that he was in a different universe, but the merge laws, gold, wood, water, fire, ground, wind, light, lightning, time and space, were all the same as those in the original universe. The law techniques were also similar. Universe level, domain level, and sector lords were the same in the primal universe as in the original universe. The original universe was the largest universe. Billions of races resided within it. The primal universe and the universe of the Space Beast Alliance, meanwhile, were much smaller. However, the laws and the cultivation of great beings were the same here. Different universes only had differences in time flow and environment. Luo Feng had assumed that once he reached perfect life gene level again, the golden horned beast would evolve again. And he might enter the mysterious space in the universe again. I was wrong, he concluded. There are significant differences between the universes. There is no change at all in the universe of the Space Beast Alliance, after reaching perfect life gene level. Luo Feng shook his head. What should I do? With each passing moment, he grew more and more upset. Although the golden horned beast had reached the perfect life gene level, and quality-wise, he had reached the basic requirement for performing, I am the universe, he still didn't have enough quantity. A godly body that was more than 55,000 miles tall could only perform that 10 times. The golden horned beast was only 600 miles, almost 1/100th of 55,000 miles. If the golden horned beast body tried to perform I am the universe, his godly body might be completely consumed before he could even truly attempt it. I can't use the inherited technique, I am the universe, to defeat the ancestor body. Luo Feng frowned. So what should I do? This put Luo Feng in a quandary. His godly body was too small to perform the inherited technique. His only option was to create one. But how was he supposed to create universe master level ultimate techniques, with nothing but his law comprehension and beast god conception level? It sounded ridiculous. What should I do? Luo Feng kept thinking, but no answer came to mind. He was not even a universe knight. How was he supposed to create universe master level ultimate techniques? The idea of becoming a universe supreme master. Ridiculous. Inside the vast beast god sector. At the peak of one of the mountains of a long mountain range sat Ancestor in a white cape. Beside him was an elderly being with transparent horns and wearing a cyan cape. Sitting mountain guest, it seems that your disciple has run into trouble, Ancestor said with a smile. Don't worry, said Sitting Mountain Guest as he looked out into the distance. Ancestor and Sitting Mountain Guest had put their bodies in the beast god sector. After all, it was the universe under Ancestor's control, just as the primal universe was under Primal Chaos City Leader's control. Primal Chaos City Leader was invincible in the primal universe, and in this universe, a body of Ancestor could be invincible with the help of energy from the universe origin. When someone became a Universe Supreme Master, he was able to make a body randomly. As such, Sitting Mountain Guest wouldn't be trapped in this universe, as he could randomly make a body. "You're impressive," Ancestor exclaimed. "Your second disciple's life gene level reached almost 10,000 times with your help, and your third disciple has reached the perfect life gene level. You're much better at cultivating disciples than me, especially when it comes to improving life gene level." Sitting Mountain Guest shook his head and smiled. "It's against the universe operation law, and there's a huge price to pay. I'm only able to cultivate 2 disciples." Ancestor nodded. They were unrivaled in the universe. Amplification and life gene level meant nothing to them, as they were perfect. Otherwise, they wouldn't be called Universe Supreme Masters. Everyone who reaches the perfect life gene level can be bestowed a gift from the universe origin, Ancestor exclaimed. After his godly body reaches the perfect level, his mind can be bestowed with an all-powerful inherited technique. Unfortunately for your disciple, this is my universe. Ancestor glanced at Sitting Mountain Guest and continued. My universe is far inferior to the original universe. I can't bestow on him an inherited technique, or help his godly body evolve. He sipped at some wine made from dew. Without an evolved godly body, his godly body is not able to perform the most powerful inherited technique even if is bestowed one. Besides, he wasn't even bestowed with the inherited technique. I might have actually lost the bet if he were in the original universe. But in my universe, I can control all the factors, and the only thing your disciple can rely on is the beast god sector. You sound quite confident, Sitting Mountain Guest said as he sipped the wine. The wine is good. Could you give me a few bottles later? I made the wine by devoting lots of energy and time by setting numerous special environments. Ancestor looked at Sitting Mountain Guest and smiled. Regardless, you're going to lose a pinnacle true treasure to me. Some wine is the least I can do. Sitting Mountain Guest shook his head. Remember, old beast god. 100,000 eras. It's been less than a century. Don't be too cocky. So, you're confident, said Ancestor continued. Do you think your disciple can become a universe supreme master within 100,000 eras? Or do you think he can create universe master level ultimate techniques as an undying fighter? Or do you think he can create universe supreme master level techniques as a universe knight? According to the bet, once Luo Feng became a universe knight, Ancestor body could use the ultimate techniques of universe masters. The ultimate technique Ancestor body would use was definitely one of the best among the ultimate techniques used by universe masters. Only universe supreme master level techniques could defeat that. The only thing I can tell you, Sitting Mountain Guest said, is that my disciple is likely to succeed. Of course, if he fails, that only demonstrates that is not strong enough. Likely. What a joke. Ancestor still refused to believe it. 100,000 eras equate to only 100,000 years in the original universe, said Sitting Mountain Guest. Just wait and see. Don't let anyone in during these years. I don't want anyone to disturb him. Rest assured, I won't disturb him, Ancestor said. Where's the wine? Asked Sitting Mountain Guest. Ancestor waved his hands, and exquisite wine bottles showed up and floated in the sky. This is half the wine I have, Ancestor said. I'll leave now, said Sitting Mountain Guest, and he took all the wine, gazed for a moment at Luo Feng who was still contemplating, and disappeared. Likely. Ancestor mumbled, looking down. Sitting Mountain Guest says his disciple is likely to succeed. It is ridiculous if he thinks his disciple can become a universe supreme master. That means he believes that his disciple can create universe master ultimate techniques as an undying fighter. Humph. I will have witnessed something truly remarkable if Luo Feng succeeds. If he doesn't, I'll have a pinnacle true treasure. Ancestor smiled, then disappeared also. Luo Feng sat beside the lake for 9 days. He even pondered what his master Sitting Mountain Guest and that space beast Ancestor were thinking about. However, he couldn't come up with anything. Both Ancestor and Sitting Mountain Guest are universe supreme masters. Their power and horizons are at the top of the universe. Ancestor doesn't believe that I can do it. But if Master Sitting Mountain Guest made the bet, he must believe that I'll be able to make it, at least in 1 billion years. Luo Feng considered this. There's a reason he has me in Beast God Sector, Luo Feng muttered. I need to explore the Beast God Sector. Luo Feng understood it. The first place he needed to explore was the Beast God Sector. Plenty of great beings came to the Beast God Sector, he thought. After all, those techniques were left by the Universe Masters and Universe Knights from the Space Beast Alliance. However, those great beings weren't able to create ultimate techniques for Universe Masters as Undying. Ancestor would only have made the bet if someone succeeded. Luo Feng nodded. He extrapolated from that the Beast God Sector was far from enough. Beast God Sector is the first asset I need to rely on. The second is some of my secrets. And, last but not least, time. Otherwise, Master Sitting Mountain Guest wouldn't have specified a time frame of 100,000 eras. 100,000 eras equated to 1 billion years. It was a very long time. This video will end here.